Okay, welcome back. We are going to be finishing up the Book of the Watchers today. That's one section of the full Book of Enoch, which we will be covering in the series. Let's see Enoch be amazed by a tree. And from there I went to another place towards the west and toward the ends of the earth, and I saw a fire that burnt and ran, without resting or ceasing from running, day or night, but it continued in exactly the same way. And I asked, saying, "What is this which has no rest?" And then Rogael, one of the holy angels who's with me, answered me and said to me, "This burning fire, whose course you saw toward the west, is the fire of all the lights of heaven." And from there I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain of fire that blazed day and night. And I went towards it and saw 7 magnificent mountains. All were different from one another, and precious and beautiful stones. And all were precious, and their appearance glorious, and their form was beautiful. 3 towards the east, 1 fixed firmly in another, and 3 towards the south, one another. Deep and rugged valleys, which no one was near another. And there was a 7th mountain in the middle of these, and their height that they were like in the seat of the throne of fragrant trees surrounding it. And there was among them such a tree that I've never smelt, and none of them, or any others, were like it. It smells more fragrant than any fragrance, and its leaves and flowers and wood never wither. The fruit is good, and the fruit is like bunches of dates on a palm. And then I said, "Behold, this beautiful tree, beautiful to look at, and pleasant to its leaves, and its fruit is delightful in appearance." Imagine being an angel, giving a human a tour of the realm, and the human becomes seemingly obsessed with a tree. And then Michael, one of the holy angels and honored angels, who was with me and was in charge of them, answered me and said to me, "Enoch, why do you ask about the fragrance of this tree? Why do you inquire to learn?" Then I, Enoch, answered him, saying, "I wish to learn about everything, but especially about this tree." And he answered me, saying, "This high mountain which you saw, whose summit is like the throne of the Lord. This is the throne where the Lord and Great One, the Lord of glory, the eternal King, will sit when he comes down to the earth for good. And this beautiful fragrant tree, which no creature of flesh has authority to touch until the great day of judgment, when he will take vengeance on all of the land and bring everything to a consummation forever. This will be given to the righteous and the humble." Now let's not forget that this tree issue is similar to both the tree in the Garden of Eden and the tree of Revelation 22:2, which are likely the same kind of tree. We're about to see that. So in Revelation we read, "On each side of the river is the tree of life, producing 12 kinds of fruit, yielding its fruit every month of the year. Its leaves are for the healing of the nations." And compare this to what you read next in Enoch. "From its fruit life will be given to the chosen. Toward the north it will be planted in a holy place by the house of the Lord, the eternal King. And then they will rejoice in the Lord and be glad in the holy place. They will each draw the fragrance from it into their bones, and they will live a long life on earth, as your fathers lived, and in the days of sorrow and pain, toil and punishment will not touch them." Let's look to Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 18 through 20 for a moment. The Lord says, "I will restore the ruined houses of the descendants of Jacob, and I will show compassion to the ruined homes. Every city will be rebuilt on its former ruins, and every fortified dwelling will occupy its traditional site. Out of those places you will hear songs of thanksgiving and sounds of laughter and merriment. I will increase their number and will not dwindle away. I will bring them honor, and they will no longer be despised. The descendants of Jacob will enjoy their former privileges, and their community will be reestablished in my favor, and I will punish all those who try to oppress them. So why is this important? Who's Jacob, and who cares about this land, you might ask? Well, Jacob was the name that a man had before his name was changed by God to Israel. We know from Revelation that the new city of Jerusalem will land on top of the old, so we know who and where. But what about me and you? That is the point of Christianity. Us Hagoyim, or Gentiles, are grafted in through the Messiah. Anyway, continuing back to the book of Enoch. Then I blessed the Lord of glory, the eternal King, because he has prepared such a place for righteousness, and has created such things, and said that they are to be given to them. Let's not forget this well-known quoted verse, Psalm 37:29, which reads, "The godly will possess the land and will dwell in it permanently." So Enoch continues, "And from there I went to the middle of the earth and saw a blessed, well-watered place, which had branches that remained alive and sprouted from a tree which had been cut down." Now, of course, this means the middle of the landmass, not a tree at the core of the planet. Look, some mountains. Now I saw a holy mountain. Under the mountain, to the east of it, was water, and that flowed toward the south. And I saw towards the east another mountain, which was on the same height, and between them there was a deep, narrow valley, and in it a stream ran by the mountain, so that by the west of one was another mountain, which was lower than it, and not high. And under it there was a valley between them. And there was another deep valley and dry valleys at the end of the three mountains, and all the valleys were deep and narrow, of hard rock, and trees were planted on them. I was amazed at the rock, and I was amazed at the valley, and I was very much amazed. And then I said, "What is the purpose of this blessed Lord, or blessed land, which is completely full of trees, and this has this accursed valley between them?" Then Raphael said, he was one of the holy angels who was with me, he said, "This accursed valley is for those who are cursed forever. Here they will be gathered together, all who speak their mouths against the Lord, words that are not fitting, and say hard things about his glory. Here they will be gathered together, and here upon the place of judgment. In the last days there will be a spectacle of the righteous judgment upon them in front of the righteous forever. For here the merciful will bless the King, the Lord of glory, the eternal King." We have read in Proverbs chapter 29:16 something that should be obvious. When the wicked increase, transgressions increase, but the righteous will see their downfall. The more corrupt our politicians become, the more untouchable our police get. The more for-profit entities are involved in government, the more sinful our society becomes. We need to fight this corrupt leadership as the citizenry. I don't care if you have a ski mask and a hoodie or a badge and a uniform, you would be treated the same. The smallest of God's laws are above any human law. Continuing on. "And in the days of judgment on them, they will bless him. An account of his mercy, according he has assigned them their lot. Then myself blessed the Lord of glory. I addressed him, and I remembered his majesty, and was fitting. And from there I went toward the east, and toward the middle of the mountains, and of the wilderness, and I saw only desert. But it was full of trees, from the seed, and water gushed out over and above. The torrent which flowed towards the northeast seemed copious, and from all sides there went up a spray and mist. And I went to another place away from the wilderness and came near the east mountain. And I saw there the trees of judgment, especially vessels of the fragrant and incense of myrrh. And the trees were not all alike. If anybody has any insight into what these trees of judgment are, please throw that in the comments. I've looked it up and haven't come up with anything substantial. However, I do have one hypothesis based on the following passages, but it's not exactly watertight. And above the mountains of the east, not far away, I saw another place, valleys of water, like that which does not fail. And I saw a beautiful tree, and its fragrance was like that of the mastic. And by the banks of these valleys I saw fragrant cinnamon, and beyond the valleys toward the east, and I saw another mountain on which there were trees, and flowing out of them water. And there flowed out from it, as were a nectar whose name is Styrex. I don't know what that is. And Galibum. I don't know what that is either. And beyond this mountain I saw another mountain, and on it there were aloe trees, and those trees were full of fruit, which was like an almond and hard. And when they take this fruit, it is bitter, or better than any fragrance. And after these fragrant odors, I looked toward the north over the mountains, and I saw 7 mountains full of choice nard and fragrant trees and cinnamon and pepper. And thence I went to the summits of all of these mountains, far toward the east of the earth, and past the Erythraean Sea, and went far from it, and passed over the angel Zotael. And I came to the garden of righteousness, and I, from far off the trees, more numerous than I, all these trees and great 2 trees there, very great, beautiful and glorious, and magnificent, and the tree of knowledge, whose holy fruit they eat, and know great wisdom. So among these trees is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, as described in Genesis. Perhaps there would be no judgment without knowledge. Nobody would be in hell had Adam and Eve not eaten of this tree. Could this be a tree of judgment? This is proved by the next passage, but does not expand to all of the trees of judgment. This tree in height is like fir, and its leaves like those of a carob tree, and its fruit is like the clusters of the vine. Very beautiful, and the fragrance of the tree penetrates afar. Then I said, how beautiful is this tree, and how attractive is its look. Then Raphael, the holy angel, who was with me, and answered me and said, this is the tree of wisdom, of which thy father and old and many years, and thy aged mother, who were before thee, had eaten and learnt wisdom, and their eyes were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and driven out of the garden. So yeah, the tree of wisdom and knowledge of good and evil does serve as a tree of judgment. And that doesn't necessarily apply to all of these trees, but it could be more than one of these trees. And from there I went to the ends of the earth and saw large animals, each different from the other, also birds which were different in form, beauty, and call, each different from each other. And to the east of these animals I saw the ends of the earth, on which the heavens rest, and open the gates of heaven. And I saw how the stars of the heaven came out, and counted the gates of which they came. And I wrote down all the outlets for each one individually according to the number, and their names, and according to the constellations and the positions and the times of the months. And the angel Uriel, who was with me, showed me. Now this is clearly an example of what we read in Psalm 147, chapters or verses 4 and 5. He counts the number of stars, and he names all of them. Our Lord is great and has awesome power. There is no limit to his wisdom. This is confirmed back in Enoch, and then he showed me everything and wrote it down. And also their names he wrote down for me, and their laws and functions. And from there I went toward the north, and toward the ends of the earth, and I saw great and glorious wonder at the ends of the whole earth. And there I saw 3 gates of heaven, through each from the north winds go out. When they blow, there it is cold, hail, hoarfrost, snow, fog, and rain. And from one gate, it blows for good. But when they blow through the other 2 gates, it is with force and brings torment over the earth. And they blow with a force. 1 for good, 2 for bad. Is this a good, exclusive OR gate? Or a punishing AND gate? Those who know their electronics and digital logic will understand this. This shows a type of digital logic setting for these processes in order. Anyway, continuing on. And from there I went toward the west and toward the ends of the earth, and I saw there, and I saw in the east 3 open gates, as many gates as they had outlets. And from there I went toward the south and the ends of the earth, and I saw the 3 gates of heaven open, and the south wind, the mist, and the rain, and the wind come out from there. And from there I went towards the east of the ends of heaven, and there I saw 3 eastern gates of heaven open, and above them were smaller gates. Through each of these smaller gates the stars of heaven pass and go toward the west. And on the path that has been shown to them. Okay, so the layout of these gates and God sending information out from them, and the flat square shape of the supposed earth. I know there's a lot of flat earthers out there foaming at the mouth as they read this, but I challenge you to consider something else. We don't know what language is spoken by Enoch. We don't even know what language Noah spoke, and what languages this oral tradition had passed through. We don't know that. We do know that modern English, the word earth is interchangeable with land, dirt, planet, world, and a few other things. What if this is the entire land of the holy city, or the entire world with God, but not necessarily the entire planet as we think of today? Consider the shape and layout of the gates that we see in Revelation chapter 21, verses 12 through 13. It has a massive high wall with 12 gates, 12 angels and the gates, and the names of the 12 tribes of Israel written on the gates. There are 3 gates on the east, 3 gates on the north, 3 gates on the south side, and 3 gates on the west side. This is pretty much confirmed with the following, which ends Enoch chapter 36 and the Book of the Watchers. And when I saw, I blessed, and I will always bless the Lord of glory, who has made great and glorious wonders, so that he might show the greatness of his work to his angels and to the souls of men, so that they might praise his work, and to all the creatures that might see his work, his power, his praise, and great work of his hands, and bless him forever. And that's really what life is all about: honoring and obeying God, and praising his power and work. That's it. And that's it for the Book of the Watchers. But this is only one portion of the Book of Enoch as a whole, so stay tuned to more. The Book of the Watchers is Enoch 1 through 36, which we have just finished. Next is the Book of Parables of Enoch, which is in Enoch chapters 37 through 71, where we learn some wisdom. Then we have the Book of the Luminaries, Enoch 72 through 82, where we learn about the universe. The Book of Dreams, Enoch 83 through 90, where we learn some of Enoch's visions. And finally we have the Epistle of Enoch, which is Enoch 91 through 108. So So go ahead and subscribe to be notified when these are available, and like and share this video. There should be another one next week. Thank you and have a blessed day.